Hi everyone. So I just wanted to do a little bit of video just to show people a little bit of advice on how to pick the right battery when going for the Husqvarna equipment. A lot of people ask, and when they're first getting started, you don't really know which way to go. There's a lot of options out there. So let me just walk you through them real quick, give you a bit of an idea. Okay, so depending on what kind of task you're doing, I would say determines what kind of battery you got. So I've got a few different sizes here: the 300, the 220X, 140X, and of course the big 950X. Now, if you're looking at doing something, you want a top handle and you want to do some like maybe more pruning, crown reduction, things like that, where you just want a nice light saw that is able to go and do what it needs to do. So if you're looking at combining it with something like this, I've got the carving bar on there, makes no end of difference. This is exactly where you want the 140X. It's nice and it's light, and you can carry this around the tree. It will do enough. I wouldn't say doing more than reductions and things, because if you're doing like a heavy takedown, obviously if you use a chainsaw that's battery powered, as soon as you start going through large timber, it's going to start going through that battery a lot quicker. So if you're going to do that, you want to go up to something bigger. If you're looking at sort of like more of an all-rounder in the tree, something that can maybe take a bit more of a takedown, then go for the 220. But you'll probably want to pair it with more than one so you can have them alternating on batteries if needs be. One will get you pretty far, but obviously you want to swap it about. A lot of the time you'll find that you can strip most of the crown off with one of these, and then you swap something else for doing the actual stem anyway. But that's an option for you. If you're likely to do a big intense one and you want to have a bigger battery, I have no qualms with using this in it at all. Yes, it's heavier. A lot of people say about the weight. Hasn't really bothered me, but to a lot of people it's a big thing. But if you do want the extra power and you don't want to carry the weight, there is another option out there for you. One that I did was I bought the FlexiBelt system, and on this, what you actually have is these. So dummy battery, no weight in that whatsoever, on a holster. So I actually took this off of the harness, added it onto my climbing harness, and it was straight up swap. That system will now go on that, and then what will happen is this will double up as my chainsaw strap. So that will be behind. I've got a 300 battery in there, so I've got all the capacitor, zero weight, and then I changed this just to act like a strap as well. So I don't need any additional straps. This will work as my lanyard. But that's another option for you. Now, if you're not looking at climbing saws, if you're looking more at using maybe a ground saw, so something a bit more like this, the bigger the better on the battery. I would say in terms of manoeuvrability, obviously a 300 or 330X, great. If you're just logging in one place, or on a static pile, by all means, the backpack battery as well, fantastic. The capacity difference between any of these and that is quite phenomenal. That really has got the power to just keep going. Again, when you're using a saw like this, if you're using one of the bigger batteries, it's still, if you're using it on full power, which you don't really need to, that just tends to, in my eyes, drain battery a little bit too quick for not really a lot of gain. So if you've got a big battery in this and you're going through logs, again, they're very effective, but you are still going to burn through battery quite quickly. So just bear that in mind. If you're going for real like timber sessions, and that is all you're doing, just logging, these fall out of place slightly. There is the new model, I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know what that one's like, but these do fall slightly out of place. They're perfect as like your all-rounders, like you're working on a job site, you're near the chipper, you're all of that, absolutely irreplaceable and amazing. But if you are doing proper logging, there is obviously only one choice, which is the 564 XP fuel injected. This is a phenomenal saw. One of my friends used it the other day, immediately ditched his 66 and started using this because he absolutely loved it, and it was just nicer, lighter and more user friendly. So if you're doing intense logging, this is exactly what you want. This will handle everything. So maybe you're not a tree surgeon, or maybe you just do a little bit of sawing, but your main bag is maybe doing something more with hedge trimming. Now, hedge trimmers, these are my go-to. So these are the telescopics, and I Personally, I mean, I tend to use these with the 300 in because once I've got, I just want to keep going, and that'll go for a very long period of time as well. So I don't have to mess about with changes wherever possible. I actually just keep it going. But again, if you are just thinking, I'm only going to get, like, I don't know which way to go. If you're thinking of maybe using some reductions, maybe some of you using this, the 200X or the 220X, sorry, is probably the way to go. It gives you that nice medium range where it's not too much weight, but still very capable of going on. And again, if you've got two on the go, you know, you can have one charging whilst you're working. You'll probably find with head trimmers, you won't need more than that anyway for a day, depending on what you're doing, as long as you keep them sharp. Same with the saws, keep them sharp, makes all the difference. It's not a petrol saw, it's not going to burn its clutch out, just trying. It will just rinse battery if it's not sharp, keep it nice. So yeah, that's what I say about that. Again, you can actually use this with the 950X. If you want to use it with the 950X, honestly, you can use this all day, right, until you're broken, on full power, no eco mode. You will run out before that runs out. You and your whole crew will run out before the 950X battery runs out. And it is good. It's quite heavy, but when it's on your back, you don't really notice it. And obviously, it takes the weight out of here. So it's a very good one to go. If you're going to be doing intense stuff like that, then it's definitely one worth thinking about. Now, another one we go for. If you do a lot of intense strimming or work on large areas, then I'll be honest, if you're strimming, for me, there is only one option if you're managing a big site, because a strimmer has to have full power for it to deal with the thick grass and the really heavy stuff. The strimmer will actually use batteries really fast. Even the 300 battery, if you're doing really intense stuff, you'll find that you get through that in a pretty short space of time. And it's almost impossible to keep going and charging. You can do it, but if you just want to keep going and nailing it, it's not quite the way. However, this is where this comes into its, truly comes into its own. The 950X battery with this will just keep going and going and going. No lack of power. You can around so much in a lot of time. And again, it's just, there's no weight in the actual machine or in the battery that you put into it. So that's the only way I would go. I'd say if you're going to be doing a lot of like grounds maintenance and working on large areas, get yourself this. So for your strimming hedge cutting as well, this is the one to go for. If you want more portable sort of like arborist options, you know, the 220 is probably the main one to go for. I prefer bigger is better. If you're going to go for the flexi belt system and put the carrier on your harness, bigger the better. Go for the big battery. It's on your harness. Your harness are attached to the ropes in the tree. You don't feel the weight, so you just want as much power as you can. You won't have to bother anyone on the ground. You can just crack on. So that was just a little download. Again, if you're worrying about these, as you can see, they'll just go into C charger, just like any of the other batteries. But yeah, so if you're pruning, doing reductions, nice little nimble battery, or the flexi belt system put on your harness, depending on what system you work. And it will take a bit of sort of ironing in. But that's your one for reductions. This is your good all-rounder. You're not going to be cutting for a lifetime. You know, hedge trimmers, you can get a long period of time out of them. Chainsaws on the ground, it's a good medium. Bit more intense use, obviously on the ground saws, 300, or for your hedge trimmers, working on sites. I remember the first time I got one of these, and I put them in the battery hedge trimmers, and I just put it on eco mode, and I said to the guys, I was like, I'm going to put this on. We was working at a place called Crick Manor. I was like, I'm just going to cut. I'm just going to stay on place it. I'm just going to cut and cut and cut until the battery runs out. And I wasn't expecting it, but I had my finger on the trigger, just cutting faces on these yew hedges all over the place. There was no stopping. I didn't drink. I didn't have lunch. And my finger was on the trigger until I think it was nearly 1 o'clock, from 8 in the morning. By the time it ran out, I was broken. So it's a good one to go for. I say if you're not worried about the weight, go for bigger. Bigger's better. If you are a bit more conservative about weight, obviously go for the smaller ones. But yeah, consider what task you're doing. Obviously, like I say, if you're logging using something on full power, you're going to get through batteries quite quickly. So anticipate that. Keep your chain sharp. understand what you're using, how you're using it. If you're looking for something that's just going to keep going and keep going and going, consider the backpack. It really is worth it. It can change your whole job site. Because another thing is as well, if you're using, where is it? The blowers. Now blowers will get through batteries really quick. This one, I think that the 140X will power it, but not properly. This requires a lot of kick. So this battery doesn't really have it in it to provide that kick, so it will drain really quickly and it won't work. The 220 battery, honestly, like, I could run that out very quickly on something like a blower on full power, because this little blower, believe it or not, will have the same power as a big backpack blower. This one's really quite powerful. So even the 300 batteries in this, great, but you do have to sort of play it right on a job site, make sure the blowing's the last thing you do, because you could easily lose your power in your batteries just from doing some blowing. So considering that, again, once you've got the 950X battery, if that's the way that you go, it's not a problem. You just don't have to worry about it. But yeah, anyway, so that was just me giving you a few pointers, giving you a little bit of an insight of what batteries to go for, what might be best, what might not be best. You know, just to give you a bit of an idea, because like I said, there's a lot of options out there. It can get very confusing. But yeah, think about the tasks that you're doing. Things like strimmers are heavy use on batteries. Things like blowers are heavy use on batteries. Ground saws doing big timber, heavy use on batteries. So think bigger batteries. If you're looking at pruning, obviously that's when you can get away with much smaller stuff. So yeah, anyway, hope you liked the video, hope it helps you. If you've got any questions, feel free, drop me a message and ask. Always happy to help. Thanks guys, see you in a bit.